Okay, hello, you wonderful mutants. This is my fourth, hopefully final time doing this video. I cannot get it to come out right today. So I want to talk about the craft system. Boom. I'm very proud of this. I put it all in one page. The basics of the reason why I keep bloviating about, I'm going to keep it in one sentence this time. It's a little bit too big, and it needs to be small because this game is an idiot punch game, and crafting's important. I want crafting in. I don't want it to be what the game's about. So it's one page. And I'm really happy about this. You can see I've got it categorized here. So there's 3 different larger categories, and you can see that the whole difficulty chart is contained in them, so that's good. Basically, pre-industrial stuff, modern stuff, and then sci-fi, future, and magic stuff. So you'll those of you who are as into this design as I am will know this kind of corresponds to like the way the agility chart works with speeds, where you have mortal speed, and then you have like superhuman speed and godlike speed. Same thing here: mortal crafting, superhuman crafting, godlike crafting. And science has this thing where, okay, yes, it doesn't really take a god to make a rocket ship, but the amount of resources and the amount of society that was necessary to get to rocket ship kind of required a godlike level. If you're comparing it to a single person. So that's the basis I'm working on here. A normal society with no magic in it could get to any of these, given a long enough time scale and enough access to things that are more or less magical. So, size is a factor in everything. There's actually 11 size categories. I stopped at 8 because I was doing this at work between doing other things. So I'm actually typing this out right now. Let me see, what is this part? Structure. Okay, so structure was important to me. I'm probably going to rename it from structure, but like right now it's called structure. Basically, what's the intent of the final product? Is it man-portable like a sword or a gun? Is it vehicular? Is it a vehicle itself or something that has to be mounted on a vehicle, like a tank gun, a tank cannon? That has to be mounted on a vehicle. You can't just carry that around. And you could in this game, but like it's not designed for that is the point. And then structure. Does it need to be anchored into a structure, or is it a structure itself? Is it a building? Is it a giant artillery emplacement? Like structure. And there's a little bleed between these a little bit. Like you could put an artillery cannon on a battleship, and they do, but still, a battleship's big enough to kind of go out a vehicle and become a little closer to structure too, and kind of straddle both of these. But yeah, these categories and these wonderful categories determine what kind of resource cost and time cost you need for putting things together. The resources you use to do this, there is time. How long does the skip scene take? It's longer for larger projects and more complicated ones. Intellect. What level of intellect do you need for every roll that you make? For every scene, every skip scene you spend building it, how high does your intellect action need to be for you to be able to get into it and design it where you need to design it and get the whole complex project going forward? So the rank of the intellect action, that's where it goes back to character capability. How many man hours is it required to build this, and how much resources is it required to build this? And that's it. The resources I'm making as categorical, so there's one for each of the magical elements, and then there's a couple extra ones like wealth, which doesn't really map super well to a category. So they're descriptive first. This is, marble, but the category that is earth. And so everything kind of has description first, and then category second, and then you build off of category. There is a thing right there with the category where an item, a resource of a given type and given category, has an assumption of being interchangeable with other resources of a similar type. So, yes, maybe it takes more than just metal to make a tank. It will clearly take wires and like fuel and things like that. Blah blah blah. Glass, plastic, whatever you need for it. Anything that's not the major components of a tank is kind of assumed to be negligible, and all the different kinds of metal you would need for a tank are interchangeable. Yeah, you need iron, and you need steel, and you need mercury, maybe, I don't know, copper, but they're all metal. That's all metal, and an equivalent cost amount is interchangeable within a certain little degree of believability. So, yeah, it's a little more categorical, a little more user-friendly, and it's a little more in the wheelhouse of just the GM being able to declare, okay, a tank's metal, move on. I am working with composition categories, where a given thing will have like an ingredients list. For the most part, I could only really think of a couple of different types. And basically, this is how many types of resources that are in it. So, like, if it's one type, like tanks are made of metal, that's the first category of composition types. You just need a certain amount of resources in metal. If it's an equal blend of two different, like, very clearly different things, then that's a two type. You need two different kinds of resources. Maybe you need a water type resource and a wood type resource to make something. Yeah, it's conceivable. There's thirds, a third, and a third, and the last one is quarters. And those just kind of correspond to different blends of primary ingredients. So that should be very, very usable and user-friendly, and it's in one little page, and it's now linked in to a very simple, intuitive, rising from the descriptions and the fiction. I sometimes see fiction first as a way to describe it. Thing where we're categorizing the resources. We're just starting with the description and turning that into a categorical resource afterwards if we need it. And then, yeah, it's all very, very integrated and usable. So I'm very pleased with this. It took me a while to get to this point, and yeah, I don't actually have a ton to say about it aside from that. You should have, probably today when this gets released, access to the document I'm working on. It's a little scattered at the moment, but in it I'm gonna try to start it with, here's the current craft system that I'm working on, the very newest draft. We're going to see this integrated into the text. You are probably going to see the intellect rules changed and tweaked a little bit so that there's room for this. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is this is all bordering into domains. The two things that won were armory and domains. So this is part of armory and it's part of domain. So the crafting is the next thing we're doing right now. So yes, that's it. That's all. Thank you for listening to this, and I hope you really enjoy this crafting system. I hope you find it as usable and elegant and appropriately sized for Idiot Punch game as I do. Have a nice day.